It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, but fate had other plans. Under the golden city lights, a woman stood frozen on the sidewalk, her heart pounding as a stranger's voice echoed behind her. His footsteps grew louder, closer, heavier, the kind of sound that wraps around your spine like fear itself. She gripped her purse tighter, her breath uneven, wishing someone, anyone, would help. Just when her panic reached the edge of breaking, a man stepped out of a nearby cafe, holding his little girl's hand. He looked at her once, understood everything without a word, and walked straight toward her. In that single moment, his calm eyes told her she wasn't alone anymore. Sparkles if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroes who appear when least expected. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindfire Moments. Your support keeps these stories alive. The woman's name was Elena, a name that carried both grace and quiet power. By day, she was the CEO of a fast-rising tech company, brilliant, fierce, and composed. But that night, in her simple black dress and trembling hands, she was just another soul wishing to feel safe. The man who came to her rescue was Daniel, a single father who had already fought enough battles of his own. His little girl, Lily, was the reason he kept breathing after his wife's passing 2 years earlier. Life had broken him in places no one could see, but somehow he still had kindness to spare. Daniel walked up to Elena and smiled warmly, pretending to know her. "Hey, sorry I'm late," he said softly, taking her hand. The stranger stalking her hesitated, frowned, then disappeared into the crowd. Elena's knees nearly gave out, relief washing through her like sunlight after rain. She whispered a thank you, tears threatening to fall, but Daniel only smiled, the kind of smile that said he didn't need thanks. He had just done what anyone with a heart should. They ended up sitting at the cafe for a while, mostly in silence. She didn't tell him she was a CEO. She didn't tell him she was one of the most powerful women in the city. For once, she didn't want to be Ms. Rivera, she just wanted to be a woman talking to a kind man. Daniel listened as she slowly opened up about feeling alone, about how success had built her an empire but also walls too high for anyone to climb. He told her about Lily, about bedtime stories and messy breakfasts, and how his daughter had taught him that love could heal even when life didn't. As the hours passed, something unspoken grew between them, a quiet understanding that both had been wounded, both were surviving in their own way. The night ended with a gentle promise to meet again, though neither of them said the words out loud. Days turned into weeks, and their paths began to cross more often. Sometimes at the cafe. Sometimes at the park where Daniel took Lily to feed the ducks. Elena found herself drawn to the simplicity of their lives, the laughter, the mess, the warmth she hadn't felt in years. She began bringing small gifts for Lily, who quickly started calling her Miss Ellie. Every moment with them chipped away at the loneliness she carried like armor. But Daniel, too, felt something changing. For the first time since his wife's death, he caught himself smiling without forcing it. He noticed the way Elena's eyes softened when she watched Lily, how her laughter felt like sunlight cutting through clouds. Still, he hesitated. He thought she was just an ordinary woman, kind, beautiful, maybe out of his league, but real. He never imagined she ran a company that shaped the future of technology. The truth came out one afternoon when Lily fell ill and had to be taken to the hospital. Daniel couldn't afford the tests she needed. He sat outside the room, his head buried in his hands, whispering prayers. That's when Elena walked in, not in her casual clothes, but in a sharp navy suit, surrounded by assistants. She quietly told the doctor to run every test possible, her voice calm, commanding, but her eyes full of worry. Daniel watched, stunned, as everyone obeyed her without question. When the room finally fell silent, he turned to her, struggling to find words. You're not just Elena, are you?" he asked softly. She looked away, tears glistening. "No," she whispered, "I'm not. But I wanted to be. With you and Lily, I just wanted to be normal." Daniel didn't know whether to feel betrayed or humbled. He wasn't angry, just confused. He had spent years thinking the world was divided between the powerful and the forgotten, yet here stood a woman who crossed that line with kindness. She didn't use her wealth to impress, she used it to protect. When Lily finally woke up smiling, calling for both of them, Daniel's heart made a choice his mind hadn't caught up to yet. Elena began visiting them more often after that. Sometimes she'd bring groceries, sometimes just stories. She even helped Lily enroll in a better school and arranged flexible work for Daniel through her company, though he only found that out later. She never made him feel small for needing help. Instead, she made him feel seen. Loved. Worthy. But not everything was easy. Rumors began to swirl around Elena's company, whispers about her relationship with a struggling single father. The board questioned her judgment, the media feasted on every sighting. She stood in her glass office one night, watching the city lights flicker, wondering if kindness was worth the cost of her reputation. But then she remembered Lily's laughter, Daniel's quiet courage, and the feeling of safety she'd found in his presence. For the first time in her life, she chose heart over image. One evening, Daniel showed up at her office with a small box. Inside was a silver bracelet, nothing fancy, but polished with care. Lily picked it, he said, smiling shyly. She says you're her hero. I guess. I agree. Elena couldn't hold back her tears. She'd spent years chasing achievements that made headlines, but this small token of love from a child, felt like her life's greatest success. Months passed, and the three of them slowly became inseparable. They were far from perfect, but they were real, a patchwork family built not on blood or titles, but on shared pain and mutual healing. Elena learned to slow down, to laugh at burnt pancakes, to fall asleep on the couch with Lily's tiny hands tangled in hers. Daniel learned to trust again, to believe that love could come back even after loss. Their story didn't end in fireworks or fairy tales. It ended in something quieter, a sunrise spilling through kitchen curtains, Lily giggling as Elena burned toast again, Daniel wrapping his arms around them both and whispering, "This is home." Because sometimes, the people who walk into our lives unexpectedly aren't just strangers, they're the pieces we didn't know we were missing. Dizzy, if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindfire Moments. Leave a comment below to remind the world that kindness still exists, that love finds us when we least expect it, and that every act of courage, no matter how small, can change a life. Rose special request, in the comments, write, "Kindness never goes unseen," if you believe that love always finds its way back.